All right, everybody. In video one, we talked about how to create customized content, not for your class, but for each and every student. Then in video two, we talked about how to implement that custom content in ways that'll personalize the learning for your students. Today, we're going to be talking about building the mindset to become an indispensable innovator on campus. I do want to give a quick thanks to everybody who gave kind messages and reactions to the first couple of videos. Some of the teachers shared that this was helpful for areas of pedagogy where we don't always get enough attention. Others said that they appreciated the step-by-step detailed instructions for building out everything personalized with the lessons, and that kind of feedback really means a lot. And as I mentioned before, I've spent over 20 years exploring tech and then sharing what works with teachers in ways that they can implement right away. And so, what we're doing here requires an understanding that implementing new ideas in the classroom requires practical strategies, yes, tools that help us get the job done, yes, and also a framework for building a mindset that lets you figure out ways to build your own strategies and find the tools that make them work. Now, I know that some of you might still be thinking, this sounds great, Brent, but the tech is hard or I don't have the time to figure it out. And if that's you, I want to say something very clearly. You don't have to do it all at once. Just start with one new activity, one new tool, get comfortable, and then you'll naturally start to build your own rhythm for keeping you adding new ideas and new tools to your repertoire. Now, many teachers I've worked with over the years start slow and then they get inspired when they see how students are responding to their work, and that energy is real. And let's be honest, it's 2025. The more that you understand tech and how your students live digitally, the more valuable you are to your students and to your school. When you embrace those ideas, you become an indispensable resource others rely on. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. These videos aren't just about cool tools. They're about helping you become a teacher who students love learning from and who schools see as a must-have. I think of this transformation in three parts. Number one, start with relevance. Your students are living in a personalized world. Their playlists curated. Their water bottles monogrammed. Their memes hyper specific. I mean, I've got custom stickers of my own face and it only costs me, cheap. All the world that we're living in is so crazy that you can get everything so customized. And if everything in your students' world is custom, why shouldn't their education be? It doesn't mean you have to design something new for every student for every day. Although we did show how to do that. But if your students see their lives and interests reflected in your lesson, they'll feel like the class is for them, not just something that they're sitting through. And of course, if you tried that differentiation activity from video number one, you've already started this step. Step two is thinking of the classroom as a lab. So, great teaching isn't polished, right? It's really iterative, and we have to try things, we have to test things, we have to let students in on the process. And if something flops, admit it. Laugh about it. Your students will be flexible, I promise. And in fact, they'll probably respect you even more for being real with them. Please do not assume that one bad run means that the idea is a failure. So this is something that happens a lot when teachers are exploring with tech and they have all sorts of problems and say, oh, it just doesn't work, right? Well, we kind of want to think about Edison's quote, right? I haven't failed. I've found 1,000 ways that don't work. Now, that's the attributed quote, something like that, right? Well, this kind of transparency builds trust and it models the learning mindset that we want students to have. So, as a little add on, you should also consider that when you can, experiment with new tools and ideas in the office or in your prep work. So, for example, this video right here is being made with a tool that I haven't used before called Airtime. I'm not familiar with it at all, but I'm giving it a try, and later I'll determine if I want to keep using it. All right, step three, systematize what works. You don't need to chase every new tool. Pick 2 or 3 that feel like a natural fit for your teaching and your style, and use them consistently. The best teachers aren't using more tools, they're using the right tools. So let me share a story. I had a student, she was in her 60s probably, and she started my class literally shaking. Right, physically shaking when she had to use a computer. She was terrified, and we kind of said, "Okay, well, what's going to happen?" So we took it slow. We worked through things step by step, and we kept coming back to the same tools over and over again, getting more and more comfortable with them as we worked and as we worked on our language skills. And by the end of the semester, she was helping other teachers on campus use the tools that we had practiced together. So I want to be clear about this. This is not just about, being fun and engaging. It's about equipping your students to live and work in the modern world with confidence. Building a system looks different for each person, but here are a few approaches that I've seen. So first, as we mentioned before, 1 or 2 new tools per semester. Once you've explored and found a tool that fits your needs, commit to it. Don't build your activities for the tool, but consider ways that you can integrate the tool into your activities. Another way, maybe, do some student surveys. So ask them what they liked or disliked about activities that they completed or tools that they were asked to use. Keep tabs on what's popular, and at the end of the term, consider asking your students what tools or ideas they've used in other parts of their lives. So other classes, at home, at work, etc. You might be surprised. Next, niche down with small changes. If you find that you like Google Docs, spend a few minutes looking through the menu bar and seeing if there are any features that you didn't know about that are useful. If you're exploring with Padlet, for example, see what kinds of attachments students can add and think about how that might fit in with your lessons. Remember that building a system takes time, so you don't have to demand too much of yourself up front. You just pace yourself and build up your competency over time. And then as you become more and more comfortable, you share what you're doing. Now, a lot of teachers resist doing this, but remember that old quote from Seneca: when we teach, we learn. And if you're interested in how this works, you can go look up the Feynman technique. There's a whole world of mindset ideas to dig into there. So if these ideas have been helpful so far, I want you to know this is just the beginning. In just a few days, I'm excited to be working with both ISTE and TESOL, 2 of the best organizations in education, to launch 2 brand new resources. One is a book full of flexible tech-enriched activities. It's here. You can use this with your students right away. This is one that I wrote, so some of you already know about this as it's coming. The other is an online toolkit to help you save time and understand how tools can be used to help you deliver amazing and engaging lessons. They're both launching on June 24th at a 30% discount, but only for a limited time. And I've put together some bonuses I truly believe that are worth more than double the cost of the book and the toolkit together. Tomorrow, I'll send out an email explaining everything, and to celebrate with everybody, I'll be sharing more of the details during a during a virtual launch party a few days from now with some special guests, and I would love for you to be there. So make sure that you know about it and that you get the updates, so you'll be signed up at brentgwarner.com/updates so you don't miss anything. If you found these mini trainings helpful, please share them with another teacher, especially someone who's working hard to keep up with tech or re-engage their students. And if you do share, please tag me. I'd love to see how these ideas are spreading and support the conversation you're starting. If you're interested in what I've been sharing, but just aren't in a position to buy anything, don't worry. Of course, we'll be filling the launch party up with tons of practical ways to help students, and there will be giveaways. So, make sure you're reminded about it by joining the mailing list at brentgwarner.com/updates. Thanks so much. Details on my bonuses are coming out with the official launch tomorrow, and I hope to see you on the launch party on June 26th. Take care, everybody.